Okay, we are on Access Chapter 2, Project 2A. This is the second video, and this is in the Go Office 2010 book. Page 522, Activity 2.07, creating a new select query in Design View. So a query, a select query, is used to select records from the database that meet some criteria that you specify. So we want to create a new query, so we click on the Create tab up here, and in the Queries group right here, click on Query Design, and we get a little box here with a list of our tables, and you can either click on the table you want and then click on Add, or just double click, which is what I'm doing now. And when you've got everything you want, you can click on Close. We're just going to do the one table for this example, so that's all we need. Again, I always like to stretch it out here so I can see all of the fields that are available. And now what we have down here is a design grid that helps us design a new query. Basically, you select the fields that you want, you just drag them down here, or double click on them from up here. And then you can specify which columns you want to sort on. You can specify if you want to show those in the results or not. You can specify criteria down here. So I'm on number 3 on page 523 now, and I want rank to appear in the results. So I double click and rank appears down at the bottom. I want first name to appear, so I'm going to double click on that, and I want, let me see, in the third column, they're showing us different ways to do it. Let me get my fat black arrow here pointing down and right click, and I will just cut that out. There's no delete, but there's a cut. So if I want first name, another way is to drag it instead of double clicking. Another way is to click on the down arrow, and I think last name is the next one that I want. So there's a number of ways to get the field that you want down here in the grid, and it doesn't really matter which one you pick. I just like to double click, so I think that's faster. Just double click on Office, Phone, and double click on Department, and now your grid should have these 5 fields listed. Now we're on Activity 2.08, and what we're going to do is we're going to run the query. And up here, when you're in a query, you get these query tools here, and the design tab underneath, and the exclamation mark will let you run the query, and just click on the exclamation mark, and what it does is it gives us the rank, the first name, the last name, the office phone, and the department of everybody that was in the table. So I didn't do any filtering there in terms of omitting any records. I'm getting one row for every record that I had. There's 34 rows here. If you go back and look at the original table, there's 34 rows. But what I am doing is I'm filtering out some of the columns. I'm not listing everything that was in the columns. If you want to go back to Design View, just click on the little button up here. This is a button that you use a lot when you're working in Access. You frequently flip back and forth between views, especially when you're working on a query like this. And they tell us we want to save this, and I'm not going to do the last name, first name. I'm just going to call this 2A Instructors Query. So click on the little Save button up here, and 2A Instructors Query. And then they give us the option to print, and we're not going to print. So that takes us to the top of page 525. And we want to close the query up here, open the navigation pane, and now notice that underneath instructors we also have a query, and this is a little icon for a query here, and it does it tell us it's a query like it does with table? No, it does not. So everything that we create, tables, queries, anything else that we create in the database will always appear over here on the left-hand side of the navigation pane. So now we're on page 525, Activity 2.09, creating a new query from an existing query. Okay, so we want to open this query. I'll just double-click on it, and it runs for me. And then we want to switch to Design View. And now we're back where we were before. And what we want to do is we want to do a save as. Now this will just resave it, and I haven't made any changes, so nothing will happen. But if we want to do a save as, we need to go to the File tab here. Come on. Okay, there it is. And we want to do a save object as. And the name we're going to give to this is, I'm on number 2 now on page 525. I want to call this, and again I'm going to leave off the last name and the first name, so it's going to be 2A instructor IDs query. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this stuff. Oops, I got rid of too much. Instructors ID. Instructor IDs. Okay, so let's get rid of the S there. And go ahead and click on OK. And now let's go back to our Home tab. And we're in the Instructor IDs query now. So it's a copy of the old one, and we can modify it all that we want to here. And they tell us to close navigation pane, so we'll close the navigation pane. And we want to look at the Office phone, and the thin gray bar they're talking about is this border right up here at the top. And we want to get the fat black arrow pointing down, and click on that and just hit the delete key on the keyboard, which I'm going to do now. And it will delete it. You can also right click and do cut like I did before. From the gray selection bar, select the first name and click once, let go, and now I get the white arrow pointing at 11 o'clock here. And I'm going to drag that over, and when I get a big thick black line between last name and department, that's what I get. And now I want to move department to the left of the rank field, so click on that once to select it with the fat black arrow. Then get your white arrow and move it over here. And now it says compare with what's on the top of page 526. And they've got instructor ID. Where did my instructor ID go? Let's put instructor ID down there, and let's click that and drag it over. And now we've got, it matches page 526. Instructor ID, department, rank, last name, first name. And on the Design tab in the Results group, click on the Run button. So we're going to go to the Design tab up here, and we're going to run. And basically the same results, we just reordered the columns. And they have us do a print preview, and we're not going to do a print preview, and we're just going to close it. And yes, we're going to save the changes. And now we're done with that activity. We're going on to activity or objective 6 on the bottom of page 526. Okay, on the bottom of page 526, activity 210. Go to the navigation pane. Let's open that up here. And click the Instructor IDs query, which is this one. And it says go to Backstage View. And click Save Object As. And we're going to call this Department Sort Query. Save Object As. And okay, Department Sort Query, and click on OK. And now go back to the Home tab, and we just renamed our query, and now it's called, let's widen this a little bit, Department Sort Query. And in the navigation pane, right-click the Department Sort Query. So we want to go to Design View, and we're going to run this, and it should be the same as the one that it was based on. So we get the instructors sorted by ID here. And now we want to go back to Design View, and go to the sort row. This is where you indicate that you want your query results to be sorted. And in the sort row, click the first name field right here. And click in the sort box and hit the down arrow and do ascending. And I missed a step here. We're also doing this. So we're going to sort by last name, and then if they are equal, we're going to sort by first name. And in this case, when you're doing a query and you want to do sorting, this will be the major sort field, and if there are ties in the major sort field, then we will use this to break the tie. So they'll be sorted first by last name, and if any people have the same last name, then they'll be sorted by first name. And the reason is because of the order that they are here in the query. So if they're on the left side, then they will be sorted first on this, and then they'll be sorted on this if there are any ties. So the order makes a difference here. And if we go ahead and run the query, I'm on number 6 on page 527. If we have anybody with the same last name now, and I think we had the Whittemers down here, C comes before D. Now on number 7 it says switch back to design view. This is our icon for design view up here. And in the sort row, click the department field. And again, they're doing this descending, which I'm not sure makes a whole lot of sense. They just want you to know you can do a descending query, I guess. And run the query. And now they are sorted by department in reverse order. And within department, let's take a nice big department here like this one. And they should be in alphabetical order by last name. And if we had any two with the same last name, they would also be sorted by first name, but that's not the case. Okay, so that takes us to top of page 528. And they want us to do a print preview on this and do a paper report and close it. We're not going to do that again. So we will just close the query here. And we'll save our changes. And this is almost 13 minutes, so we will stop and we will finish Project 2A in a third video.